Everyone, this is Commissar Rycor, and this is Warhammer 40K Wednesday. Let's get into it. So, to start off, not a really good week for painting. Not at all. Pretty much ever since doing that techno-colored, crazy Blood Angel Chaplain, I pretty much have had zero motivation to paint. I have gotten almost nowhere with painting that squad of Imperial Guardsmen. I did, what am I, like 5? I did get a little further, so I'll go over and show you something. And I do want to show you the magic that is Games Workshop inks. No, not inks. What are they, shades? Yeah, the magic of shades. How you can make a model go from meh to alright with shades. You probably know this, but whatever, you know. I like to reiterate, you know. The staging area is still that same squad of Scions. Nothing's new over there because everything that I painted is still kind of stuck over there. So we're not going to go that far. This episode shouldn't be that long, hopefully. But as far as new things are concerned on the 40K, we're being invaded by 30K. So for a long time, the Horse Heresy, Warhammer 30K was kind of just like in the realm of Warhammer, you know, Forge Worlds. If you got tons of money, go for it. You know, whenever I saw it, it was like, oh, Contemptor Dreadnoughts and all these things. These Forge World models would come out. And I never thought they would come to, like, the plastic. I thought they would stay a Forge World thing, and 30K would stay away from my 40K. But no, it seems like 30K is just rolling and rolling and rolling. It's getting a bit crazy. So we have we got a whole bunch of pre-order stuff that dropped. We got you can get a squad of Contemptor Dreadnoughts for $300. That's ridiculous. You can get a unit that's 3 Contemptor Dreadnoughts. Well, I mean, each one's $100. The Cataprosity Terminators, which honestly, I'm not gonna lie, these Terminators are pretty badass looking. Let's look at these. Let's zoom in on the Terminators. The Terminators do look pretty cool. Their Storm Bolters definitely look like what I always thought a Storm Bolter looked like, which was just 2 bolters kind of stuck together. So that's kind of cool. They do have cool looking Terminators, and you can get another Contemptor Dreadnought for 100 bones. Space Marine Heroes. Space Marine Heroes is like you can get a Terminator Captain in the same Terminator armor, the Cataprosity or whatever, and then a Chaplain. So you can get that. That's not bad. I mean, you know, if you want to see what these are, by all means, head on over to Games Workshop's store, check them out. But, yeah, and then you get a whole box of Mark IV Space Marines for $85. And it comes with a missile launcher and a missile launcher, a grav gun, a heavy bolter, and some other things. Does it come with a plasma gun? I think it does come with a plasma gun. It comes with a plasma gun and a flamer. Don't think it comes with a melta gun. Unless the flamer's a melta gun. Because I can't tell if that's a flamer or a melta gun. Looks like a flamer to me. Could be a melta gun. Anyways. I'm not 100% sure because I don't really deal with 30K. Ooh, at least there's a Power Fist in there. That Power Fist is kind of cool, though. Well, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go on over to the painting table and I'm going to show you my miserable progress. And I don't know what it was. Maybe it was because I spent so much focus the last 4-day weekend I had on painting that one model. And I've had a lot of other stuff I've had to do this week, so trying to actually get anything done for Warhammer 40K related been a struggle. And yeah, but we're gonna keep going. And so let's move on over to the painting table. Transition. All right, so here we are on the painting table, and as you can see, not a whole lot's been done. Basically, the squad was primed, and all I've really done to each of the models is do a base coat of their pants, which is done with, what is that? Khaki, just with Vallejo game color khaki. Just done a little base coat. I popped off these guys off of the autocannon base. So I could kind of mud up the autocannon base without coating the models in dirt and mud. And there's a few spots right here around the sandbags that could have been done better, but I feel like the next time I actually build and assemble an army, I'm gonna do I'm either gonna get what do you call those bases? Like pre-textured bases like I have with my Scions, or I'm gonna do maybe those Games Workshop bases, or at least do the bases and maybe pinhole the feet on these guys and then do them on corks. So I'll figure out how I'm going to do the bases the next time, but I mean the entire army that I have assembled, you know, I'm just going to go with the flow. So with this guy, he's going to sit right here-ish. I'm going to have to super glue him in place once I figure out a good spot for him. And this guy's going to sit over here. And they're not going to be manning the gun, they're just going to be kind of like, oh no, we're out of ammo, or the gun's too hot, or something like that. That's kind of what I was thinking about with that. So those will be, once they're painted and everything, they'll be stuck on here. And yeah, maybe we'll get something done this weekend, but I'm not 100% sure what we're going to get done this weekend. I've got I'll play it by ear. It's kind of a slow going. It's not so much that I've lost motivation, it's just I got a whole bunch of other tasks and projects that are a little bit more pressing. So I need to find my shading brush. Okay, so for shading, we're going to use both Nuln Oil and Agrex Earth Shade. So, and the way that I do it is I don't water these down. For these kind of models, I don't water these down. For like just doing, what do you call it? What do they call that? For doing kind of a lower tabletop quality standard, I just put them on there. You can, if you're doing for like a more of a high quality model, you can thin them down with some water, but I just use them straight out of the pot. And we're gonna go with, and I use just kind of an older brush that I've been using pretty heavily for just doing washes, or just washing with the shade. So let me move the camera a little bit so I can get a better angle on here. Let's see, zoom in. So we're gonna do this. All right, so now for you don't really have to shake it up. You just get a little bit on your brush. So I like to just soak my brush in it, which is probably why there's tons of it on the handle, or whatever you call that. So just get it all in there, and then just stick it on there. Just anything that's normally like you want to make like darker with like a black, you'll use a black wash. And I just like go hog wild on it. So I just cover everything in this same wash, which you can also just use a different color paint, or a larger brush. So for like infantry, I'll probably use this size brush. Or for this thing, I might move to a different brush. I'm gonna move the camera over here so it's not in my way, so I can do this a lot faster. Alright, there you go. Alright, so I just kind of get in the pot, and then I get it so where it's just dripping off that brush. And then I just kind of stick it all. And I flip the model. Oh no, I'm getting in your way. Sorry, bros. So yeah, I don't need my paint palette. I'm not using it. So I'm just kind of getting in all the. Just need some light, bro. Just kind of getting in all of the undersides and any of the crevasses. You gotta be careful though, because it'll get like these weird lines if you don't, if you're not johnnying the spot with your ink, with your shade. You just cover everything in a liberal dosing of shade. Now, if I was gonna do multi-layers, you can still do this kind of effect where you're just throwing lots of shade on there. I've seen people go, oh yeah, just, you know, put shade in the recesses. I'm like, nobody got time for that. I ain't got time to put in the recesses. I'll let the shade find the recesses, and then I'll highlight up the areas later, afterwards. Because one thing I've noticed is that when the model is just base coated, it looks gross. Once you throw some shade on there, once you throw in shade, which I did not know was like a derogatory term until recently. When you're throwing shade on there, it just makes the model look better. And once the model looks really good with that nice depth of tone, to me, I love highlighting afterwards. I just love the look of the model when it's pretty much tabletop quality, and I'm just making it look a little nicer with some finishing touches. But up until that point, it's pretty gross. Now for the brass parts and the tan parts, I'm going to use Agrax Earthshade, and same thing with the base. So I'm trying not to get any. of the Rycor Earthshade on those bits, but if some comes on there, it's not that big a deal. It's not too bad. Same thing with like the base right here, where it touches the muddy soil. I'm not too worried about getting a. What do you want? Restart required for updates later. I'm not too worried about mixing my shades in some spots. Alright, gotta get this handle. Gotta get all over this magazine canister on the ground. Oh. Yeah, we're getting all over here. Oh, yeah, this is gonna. So for this one, trying to not go crazy because I gotta alternate between where the Agrax Earthshade is gonna go and where the Nuln Oil is gonna go. So I'm just kind of getting on there, but not going too hog wild. Woohoo! This is my idea of fun, you know. Just kind of shading up models. Kind of makes them look good. I like them. All right. It provides like a little sealant layer. At least I think it does. All right, so that's pretty much what it's going to look like. Now it'll dry out and look a little different, and you'll just have to deal with that on your own. All right, so now we're gonna wash off the. Well, we're gonna close the stupid paint pot, which is a pain. Wash off the brush a little bit so we don't mix our oils too bad, or mix our shades. And then this one's a little bit more liberal, even more liberal because the base is going to be covered in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get these brass parts right here on the gun canister first. So just kind of cover them in shade and just put a huge glob on there. It'll find its way and dry off. You can like thin it out a little bit with your brush. Like once you put it on there, you can kind of use it as like a mini palette to like pull the excess off. And then gotta get the sandbag. Just cover that sandbag in shade. Because if I wanted to, I would just highlight the sandbag afterwards. And one thing I've noticed is that the shade, especially if you're working with like brown as your main color for like the base right here, if you miss a spot and you have a little bit of white paint and you throw some shade on there, it actually doesn't look too bad. So I only put it on the model. I try not to get shade on the sides. But if I get it on the sides, you know, I'll just either try to wipe it off or repaint over it just to make the sides look a little cleaner. But then the base, you just drop a whole bunch. And you can use a bigger brush. Like I think I might switch to a bigger brush now that I'm using the base. Might switch to like a fatter base coating brush. And then just just paint it on there nice and thick. Get it all in those crevasses. And now what I used to get this, it's just like play sand, and I mixed see, we got it on the side, but I can repaint over that later after the whole thing dries. This is play sands plus like watered down glue, like Elmer's glue. And sometimes it doesn't stick super well, but once you paint it and apply this shade, I've never had the base chip away, unless you throw the model. But just in normal play or normal transport, I've never had the base chip after I've shaded it and then painted it. It kind of seals everything in. And yeah. So let's put that under some light. Let me move this over here. Move the camera. And yeah, so I did get some overspillage right here along the base right here, but I'm totally just gonna repaint over that later when the whole thing's dry. I'll just repaint it with what I use, Mornfang brown for my bases, which is pretty much what I use for my muddy earth tones. But it's gonna look a lot different later. But you'll see it next week. I'm not gonna wait until this dries and then film it dried. But next week, when you see the status of the models, you'll see it dry, and hopefully I'll at least be done with this heavy weapon team. But yeah, we'll throw some flocking grass on there at some point. But yeah, this is pretty much how I throw shade on my models. I just glob it on. Bigger the glob, better the job, right? It's an old welding joke my dad used to tell me. Yeah, but no. Anyways, that's pretty much all I got for Warhammer 40K Wednesday. Hope you guys have enjoyed the episode, and if you like the series and you like the episode, hit the like. Subscribe if you'd like to subscribe. I do Warhammer 40K stuff once a week. I have some other gaming series that I do. I release for pretty much over the course of the week, and whenever I think about doing another video, I just kind of toss one on there. But anyways, see you guys around, and hope you have a great day. Goodbye.